This is Coach Farley. Today's lesson is how to win 2 more games this season by implementing the K-Zone concept. The first thing, it's all about possession. Well, not this possession. It's about these possessions. In any given high school game, roughly there's going to be 10 possessions for your team. 10 possessions to score. Sometimes less, sometimes more, but right around there. Which means if everything was a score, we're going to score 70 points a game, right? 7 points times 10. But it's not just for champions. Quite frankly, if you're champions, K-Zone is less important. This is really for those middle-of-the-pack teams. You could use 2 more wins to get into the playoffs, to win the conference, to get the edge in the playoffs. So we're going to talk about that. But the key concept behind this is we are thinking points every single possession that you get. They are so rare and so valuable, we need to do so. And we get lured to try to get touchdowns all the time. Not that we don't want them. We'd love a touchdown. But how many times do we fail in that regard? So what is this K-Zone? What's it all about, and how are we going to use it? That's what this lesson's about. Well, this is for most high school coaches. This is how you see your K-Zone. Basically, it's a PAT. The only time we're kicking this ball is after we score a touchdown. If you get the ball across the 50-yard line, then you're looking to score. Who isn't? But when it's 4th down and whatever, we often go for it because we know how valuable those trips are and we think that we can get into the end zone. I'm advising you to have a different understanding of when you should be going for the score and when you should be putting out the field goal unit. So let's talk about that. The first thing is to understand is why not then just go for 2? For most of you who are doing this, that 2-point conversion is at the 3-yard line. And for most teams, you are kicking the ball after you score. You've already acquiesced. You've already said, we've got a better chance to get points, to get the 1 after the touchdown by just kicking this ball and not by doing a 2-point conversion. If you thought you were better than 50%, you shouldn't kick the PAT. You should just go for it. Right? Do the math. And so if we already understand that trying to get 3 yards with a tight end zone, that's a really tough thing to do. So why is it that when we get down inside the 10-yard line and we've got the ball down there, that the lure of that touchdown overwhelms our ability to do the math and the equation on this thing? So what we're talking about on this K-Zone is basically from that point. If you get the ball on a normal possession and get down inside the 3, I would expect you to go for the score. But if we're sitting at the 3-yard line, let's say it's 4th down and goal at the 3, you already said in normal situations, we're kicking this ball. Now, how many of you simply go for the TD? I realize how challenging it is to get the ball down to the 3, and you feel that you need it. But I'm telling you, if you don't make it, the cost to you is immense. If we kick this thing, it's almost a guaranteed 3. We got points. And what happens? We go back, we kick off, we get the wind in our sails, maybe we make the stop, and we get the ball back on the other side of the 50 again. And we get another chance to go after our touchdowns. But if we miss it, that is huge to the other team. So I want you to keep that in mind. It's these game changers that frankly take those middle-of-the-road teams and either allow you to win or force you to lose. Big blunders that give your opponents the wind in their sails. And how many times do we do it? We've hung in with a tough team all the way to halftime, and then something big happens. A special teams TD, right? The big kickoff return all the way to the house. The goal line stand, that's what we were just talking about. A loss on downs. Those are big changes. All of those kinds of things. The missed field goal oftentimes does not feel as heavy. If we send out the team, we got all the way down to that 3, we send out the team and they actually missed it, it just feels like a dud, but it doesn't feel like we put wind in their sails. It feels to the opposing team like they dodged a bullet. So this high school kicker zone, the typical one that we're looking for, is basically between the 3-yard line and the 15-yard line. If we get the ball down there, and what you need to know as a coach is okay, if we get this ball and it's on the 8-yard line, we should kick it. If we've got the ball at the 12-yard line, we should kick it. What I want you to understand is the line of scrimmage. What I need the kicker to understand is where he's actually kicking it from. At the edge of this zone, let's just say to the 15, that's the ball in the 15. Add the 10 and add the 7 for the snap. All of a sudden, I've got a 32-yard kick. Most high school kickers are not going to make 3 out of 4 from 32. That's probably about the edge of it. And that's why we say, I mean, this is an adjustable thing. And frankly, if your kicker, if all that he could make reliably, let's say he can go 1 yard past his PAT, then if this ball is at the 4-yard line, you should be kicking the ball. If it's 4th down and 3 on the 4-yard line, let's kick it and get the 3 points. But if it's at the 5, we're not. He hasn't proven that he can make 3 out of 4 from that zone. And likewise, it goes as far as it does. You got a great kicker, and he can stretch this thing, and you get the ball to the 25. So he's going to make a 42-yard field goal, 3 out of 4. That would be awesome. What a weapon. And why wouldn't we be using him? And so as we look at this stuff, we'd really look at what is our target line. The kicker before the game, you want to work with him to try to understand, both going with the wind and against the wind, there should be 2 numbers in your head. Hey, going this way, it's the 8-yard line. If we get it to the 8, we're kicking it. If we get it to the 9, it's questionable. Maybe you kick it. Depends on how you feel. Maybe the kid's already made 3 field goals today, and he gets it down to the 11. You're going to kick the field goal because you're feeling confident about it. The kid's already missed one. Nope. We're going to go and not till we get to the 7-yard line. Put those line of scrimmage numbers in your head. The kicker needs to help you out with that. So we need to understand those zones. And if we said that this kid's furthest range to make 3 out of 4 was a 25-yard field goal, then that ball, once he gets to the 8, he's ready to go in the game, and you're ready to put him into the game. Now in that same, if that target line was 8, and the ball, as we said, only gets down to the 13, nope, you should be running a fade route, a trap play, whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? This is not the kicking time, unless it's end of the game or end of the half, and you need those points, right? We've determined, I want 3 out of 4. I want to feel confident that he's going to make it. Let's take a look at a kicker. This is Max, who's basically an all-state kind of guy. And so as he looks at this target line, here is actually a 8. It's on the 8. He's got a 25-yard boot. So we see those kicking zone in real life. You'll see as he kicks this ball that Max has got the technique and skill to clear it from much further away than this point. Any one of you looking at him right now would say, yeah, I think this kid's going to make 3 out of 4 from that zone. So why isn't Max getting in the game? I ask a lot of these kids at camps, how many field goal attempts did they make during the season? And a lot of these kids who are really good kickers, 3, 2, 4. This kid should be probably getting in a field goal every single game, at least 1, if not 3. What are we doing? So as he gets better and as we get more confidence, then we can expand that zone. Maybe it goes out to the 20, right? Maybe it keeps pushing. Situationally, now we're beyond that, as we said, and it's time that we really could use the points. Either say we're up by 6, right? And if we could make the 3, we're up by 9. Now we go up by 2 scores. And if this is Max, I think I let him go from here, right? I tell these kids the only time they're worried about setting the school record and all that kind of stuff is at the end of the half and at the end of the game. That's when the big kicks come, because that's when you are sort of forced in that situation to try. If it's first quarter, I doubt that we're trying the 50-yard field goal, right? So this is not about trying to give kickers their due. This is about getting points. This is for you and for your team. When we look at that first zone, the darker orange zone here, that's our 75% zone. Once we move past it, this percentage rate for almost all kickers drops off pretty precipitously. We're just saying in this example, the next 5 yards, it's probably down to 50%. The next 5 yards is down to about 30%. That does presume that the kid probably can go another 10 yards, out there if you needed it towards late in the game. And now if we're going to move it back 15 yards from our, from our kicking zone, from our K zone, our chances of making this thing is probably about 1 out of 10, right? So that's where we're really desperate, and where you take a look at it at the end of the half of the game and say, no, we're gonna throw the Hail Mary, or no, we're going to give the kid the chance to put it in. So that's why you need to find this K zone and find those areas. But here's the other thing that ends up happening. Once you've got it clear in your head and it's become sort of automatic on these possessions to kick it, guess what opens up? Now all of a sudden, fake field goals and fake PATs actually work. It actually means something, right? Now we've already put the threat. We're going to score. They're expecting the kick. Now when you run it, this is where your percentage for fakes becomes a lot larger, and now you've got the chance to score in a whole different way. And my advice to you is to get it on film. Don't save the play. Don't save your super fake kick and field goal play or fake punt. Get it on film right now. Take a look at some of these plays from college football.
Ball placed down at the 36-yard line, right hash mark. Aaron Bates will hold. Alex Shackleton will snap. Dan Conroy with the biggest kick of his life. Oh, they'll fake it. Bates throws it. He's got him! Wide open. He's got Charlie Meehan inside the 10. He can walk in.
The only reason that this play works in this situation is because the threat of the field goal has already been established. Neat to see this, right? Here's a little behind the back flip. Kicker's going to score. Got guts enough to do that one. It's a great play.
Who's 1 for 2 on his early career, having him look at a tighter angle. I like this.
The distance doesn't make any difference. Small angle and they fake it. Touchdown Notre Dame.
Nice block, ref. All right, we'll get that one in there. Let's talk about the last part of this thing. What if you miss? What does it actually cost you? So the first thing, if you do miss the kick, all right, if you do miss the kick, one of your possessions is now a 0. You only get the 10, and now one of them is 0. All right, it cost you time, and that's about it. What's the best thing if you try the kick and miss? The opponent knows that you will try to kick, or, as I say, kick or trick on this. And frankly, if you do the fake field goal and you get it on film, guess what? Your opponent will be on guard all game for 5% of your playbook. They'll actually have to practice against it in that week's practice. What if we make these field goals? Obviously, we now have 3 points instead of the 7. That's the worst of it, right? We lost out on 4 points that we thought we could get. But the best is now the opponent does know that you'll kick or trick. They will be on guard all game for just that minimum part of your playbook. One of your 10 possessions did get points. The game score, oftentimes with 3 points in there, now makes unusual situations and makes it harder for coaches and adds stress to their side to determine what they want to do. You put them on their heels. The kicking unit gets success under their belt, which makes them more confident to do it again and again and again. And guess what? You're kicking off. Your band is playing. Your cheerleaders are going. Your fans are going crazy. And now you get the chance to do it again. This is a crucial thing. If you go back through your season from the past season and take a look at the losses, I'll bet you'll find a loss or two that you lost by, 10 points or less. And if you really go through that game and think about how did it happen, I almost guarantee you, one, you will have made some big blunder that offered them the opportunity to get the wind in their sails that changed the complexion of the game. Two, I suspect you'll also have had a failed try to get into the end zone, and you put wind in their sails. Your team went down because of it, and if you had the chance now to go back and take the 3, Let's say you were down 14-0, but now you had the chance to go and take the 3, and now it's 14-3 instead of 14-0 still, and you missed that opportunity. How might that have changed the game? Don't let being down by a score or 2 dissuade you from using the K-zone. Understand this, implement it, and I'm saying congrats, you're going to win 2 more games this season, and that'll make all the difference in the world.